Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Lime Rock Park is one of the most basic circuits on the iRacing calendar that you will ever have to learn. This is a track which, time in and time out, drivers who start off in iRacing learn to get right. It's 6 right-hand bends, it's 1 left-hand corner, but this track is all about finding equilibrium, finding opportunity, and finding chances to go out there and challenge. Yes, this is only 2.41 Ks. Yes, this is, to some, a Mickey Mouse style of circuit. But there's a reason why IMSA continue to race here. There's a reason why we're here today with the VRS GT Sprint Series, because Lime Rock Park produces some wonderful action. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the conversation here with SimSpeed TV. My name is Jake Sperry. I'm joined alongside by Jay Kennedy, at least for the moment, pulling double duties at this moment in time as we challenge on the classic layout of Lime Rock Park. No piddly chicanes here and there. This is all about momentum, slingshots, and flow.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, it's one of the tracks that everybody knows within iRacing. It's the track that you start your iRacing career at, and it's a track that is absolutely fantastic for racing, as you said. So looking forward to seeing how it plays out. It's going to provide a very, very entertaining race, as we've had throughout the season so far, as qualifying is underway. Very, very fast lap times, sub 48 second lap times we're going to see for the drivers. We may see some drivers, well actually we're seeing some drivers into the 46s, incredibly fast lap times.
Yeah, and we've seen how it's been all about car choice. It's been an Audi paradise. Look at that. You can see how they're actually getting air up over the crest then at that wonderful right-hander heading up towards the West Bend. That was the number 1 of Dmitry Kofanov. They're having a huge moment trying to put the power down. 2 wheels up in the air and charging for the line. And, well, I tell you what, it certainly's worked for him. 46.736. You don't get much more commitment than that.
That was very, very intense there. That was a brilliant lap time. Rubens Barrichello joining us once again. Great to see Rubens out on track. And the air is phenomenal that they're getting over the jump. We call it a jump because, well, it's turning into one for these guys. More used to driving it in likes of the MX-5, and you don't get that much air in those cars. You do get light, but incredible the amount of air that these guys are getting. As Rubens, great lap there for 47.3. He'll go for his second run, currently P12.
Yeah, P12 at the moment, and those times definitely coming in. A handful of drivers yet to put their times in on the board. They have 8 minutes to do so, or 2 laps, whichever comes in first. There is Alex Dunn at the moment in what is the number 3 machine as Daniel Modelon jumps up then into 4th position. He's making progress through the second half of the lap at the moment, trying to find that improvement as the number 4 machine actually does jump up the order ever so slightly. Luis Gonzaga Filio then into 24th, as there is the Lamborghini of Nick Ludeca then with a 47.1. Not a bad time at all, 47.1. It is going to put that one right in the middle. Barrichello does improve to P9 overall with that qualifying effort. Alex Dunn's first lap on the board. That's pretty solid for a first lap. He's just gone 5th.
Yeah, good first lap there for Dunn. 46.9 for him. So he will look to improve on the second run, but currently the fastest out of the drivers that have done a time that are still out on track, trying to get a second lap. Alves there almost facing the wrong direction over the jump, so he'll be hoping that he's still got some pace left in this car. He's continuing on this lap, so it's probably a good sign that he has something left. No, he's not going to make it any improvement.
It's only a 49-second lap, so that's not going to get the job done then. Mattia Ducey searching in the AMG Mercedes for a little something. Hasn't got anything fantastic on there at the moment. 47.8, the best overall, so that one won't do much. But to the top, Alex Dunn has just put a 46.6 down on the board. That is nearly a 10th quicker than anybody else overall, so that is a wonderful lap that has been put down. Only one driver can go out there quicker, but has already put a lap in on the board. And there you see Luis Gonzaga Filio there, always trying to find that improvement in the Lamborghini. You can see 37.1, not representative in terms of lap that he was searching for. I'm sure that came along with a total. There you can see again just how much air they're getting there. Very reliant on those contact patches on the rear tyres.
Yeah, it's amazing how much air they're getting over over that section. So, yeah, incredible to watch the cars, and it's going to be great seeing a pack of cars come up and over that section as well. It looks like everyone has done their lap, so we could actually see the gridding period close early if everyone decides to jump into the pits and wait out this 2-minute period. But a couple of drivers still out there using it as an opportunity to get some practice laps in as we go through our grid.
Yeah, there's only one driver who's yet to set laps in, but at the moment it is Audis who are in control. Alex Dunn on pole position, number 3 from Club UK and Ireland, will be alongside with Dmitry Kofanov then in second. Alexander Davidson goes and puts it up in P3 with Artem Grabov there in 4th position. Then the third row, it's 2 of the McLarens, maybe a little bit of a surprise. It's Daniel Modelon and Miron Mikheyev then in 5th and 6th position. Over to 7th, you have Andreas Hedlund there with Rodrigo Alves starting this one from P8. Then you've got Yannick Lorenz 9th, and of course the legendary Rubens Barrichello rounding out the top 10. First of your Lamborghinis then come on in the form of row 6 as Tuan Tran and Rodrigo Ianni then find themselves 11th and 12th positions, with Adrian Dominguez and Dan Holland sharing row number 7. Bobby Thompson then will go from 15th place with Nick Luedica in what is 16th overall, and that is followed up by Bartian de Brouwer and Jimmy Van Eyck then making up those drivers on row 9. Row 10 sees Danny Clavel and Abdul Kaya Al-Amri making up the 20 at the moment. And then behind that, Maximilian Deek and Bastian De Silva make 21st and 22nd. That is followed by Alvar Gomez not having the best qualifying time here today, and Juan Carlos Puyo then in what is going to be 24th place. And over to the 13th row, you got Mattia Ducey, Luis Gonzaga Filio, and then you got Maxi Sharella, and then Quentin Coutinho then making up 28. The one driver who did not make it to a qualifying lap was Fernando Ferreira, who hasn't actually set anything out there at this moment in time, so that the Iberian driver will be there at the back. There is the championship picture as things stand. Max Del Orco at the top by 50 points over Luke McKeown. Dennis Grabowski there in third position. Of course, this is an important race for Alex Dunn here today. He's 8th place in the championship, is the Irishman. So work to be done as he needs to go and find points. And a good start here today with the one pace lap we have around Lime Rock.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a little bit of a chance to get points, and yet one full pace lap around this amazing track. Very, very short lap, around 2.5 odd kilometers, 3 kilometers in length. So not much to it, as you said. Pretty much all right-handers. That one big long left-hand sweeping bend, and it's one track that every driver should have no excuse but to know, but may have excuses in mastering, because it is not as easy as it looks on paper. On paper, it looks like one of the most basic tracks you'll ever see, but in real life, once you're actually out there driving it, very, very tough to get that final 10th or 2/10 out of.
And it really does show, actually, over the course of the times, how even at a track which is effectively just an over-glorified oval, some would say, it's just got one left-hander, which is known as the left-hander, actually, quite honestly. It's very tough, and we've seen differences in terms of lap times of representatives. You got Quentin Coutinho down at the bottom in 28th position on a 48.8. That's still 2.2 seconds slower than the fastest time that we had there in qualifying, which shows you all you need to know around this track. How on earth do you go 2.2 seconds slower at a track this small?
It's a great question. I'm not sure. I mean, I probably would be that slow in comparison to these guys, but these guys are all very, very accomplished. So strength of field is quite high. So, no excuse for being that far off the pace. But with that pace differential, we're going to see drivers closing in. After only about 10 or 12 minutes of racing, we're going to start to see drivers potentially getting lapped, which is very, very incredible. Also on that lap time from Alex Dunn, that's actually the fastest qualifying time for the entire week as well. So Alex Dunn does have some great pace. Alex Dunn does. Can Alex Dunn do?
Well, it's a job well done at this moment in time, if you want to continue on that train of thought, Jay. But they're getting themselves up to temperature. It's worth talking about track conditions, as Alex Dunn actually does overtake the safety car. And it feels like it's a little bit too slow at the moment. So please speed up. That would make life quite easy. In sim time is coming up towards 9 o'clock in the morning. It's mostly cloudy, 21 degrees, but what's crucial is that it is very, very humid. We've got a nice little bit of fog which has come in over the horizon, so that of course is just making things a little bit more difficult for these drivers. They don't see all the braking points that maybe they would do here today at Lime Rock Park. This is going to be very, very interesting for the way that they want to try and get themselves forward. It's not long in terms of a lap to get themselves up to speed, but they know they've got to be at their very, very best as they look and challenge. They head now down the hill towards that diving turn, which makes up the final corner on this wonderful, wonderful track. Welcome to the VRS GT Sprint Series if you're here for the first time. Welcome to Lime Rock Park. It's 40 minutes worth of racing action, field in control of Alex Dunn at this moment in time. He takes the inside line and he gets the jump, and we are underway. Alexander Davidson then getting a really nice jump then on Dmitry Kofanov as they will file it off in towards turn number 1, the big bend, and 2 for the very first time, and then they go through the S's section. Nicely worked and getting it done. Davidson gets himself up into second, and we've got great battling up and down the order as they all look to funnel themselves into position through the S's.
Great job. Looks like we're going to get through the first couple of corners clean. We've said that a couple of times already today, and it hasn't happened. So, yeah, all the drivers have made it through the first couple of corners. Have a look at this little battle right in the middle of the pack. That is,
no.
car around 13 car there. Getting looped around. Yep. And another car just into the wall as well. Yane is around in the background as well. So, not quite as clean as we would have liked. And there's a car running wide there, McLaren. Yellow McLaren, that's the 16 of Markev. He's regathered it, but he did run very, very wide through the final corner, lost a couple of spots.
So did Andres Headland behind, and that allowed Barrichello the chance to make the move and gain the place. So that puts Barrichello inside the top 10 then after that start, and gains that place back that he did lose early on. So Dunn leads, Davidson second, Kofanov then into third position. That opening lap can always be very dangerous, especially on a track like this. A bit of side-by-side a little bit further down, heading to the uphill corner. That then making the move done was Bastian De Silva in the Nyancat car then, as he got by Abdulkader Al-Amri for position.
Yeah, good to see drivers moving forward, but only the one car that didn't decide to, or wasn't able to make it around after that first lap incident. But everyone else has made it through and survived the first couple of laps. But already a 25-second disparity between first and the last running car, which, as I said, will mean that we're going to see lapped cars after only 10 minutes of racing around an incredibly short track. Traffic management is going to be as much of a key here as tyre management and fuel management is.
It certainly will, but you've also got to stay in lane with everyone that you are with at the moment. The big train, Tuan Tran on the back of it in P7 right now. You can see in front, you've got Rodrigo Alves, Artem Grabov there. Daniel Modelon is in there as well, and they're all trying to chase down Dmitry Kofanov, who is there in third position. Started today in P2, lost out at turn number 1. That was where all the troubles were. But you're going to be seeing here those few gaps coming in as they try and go through. And Adrian Dominguez in trouble then, as two drivers off then at turn 1. It was 3 wide going down in, and it was Dominguez with Jimmy Van Eyck, I believe, who was scampered away unscathed after pushing it through the middle.
Been a couple of different incidents all in one there, I think. So we'll get a little look thanks to Virtual Racing Tool. So this is Alves, who was ahead of everyone. He's had his own moment, I think. So you see in the background there,
Lorenz. Ooh. Well, there goes the Skechers car, and there you can see in the background there, Jay, there is one of the McLarens and the Lamborghinis, and they were, you can see we just caught the back end of that. They were 3 wide trying to get themselves into turn 1. That's what I saw.
So yeah, it's a bizarre end to the lap, and that's El-Amri there. He's had issues as well through the final section of the lap. I believe he's hit the wall under the bridge. So a few different drivers having issues.
There's another one.
Oh no.
Ludecker in the wall at turn number 1. He's hit the tyres, and that's not ideal for him. You can see has pretty much got that one jammed, and will be staying there for the foreseeable future.
Not the spot that you really want to watch the race from. It's not a great vantage point. There's much better vantage points around this circuit.
Got a nice camera though in the middle, so we'll be definitely be able to look back and see those vehicles going through, at least at that point. Here is the battle then with Tuan Tran in the number 5 Lamborghini, trying to stay in range of Artem Grabov in what is the number 2 Audi at this moment in time. They will take the uphill corner, this right, and they've got to be so careful as they go through. A nice wheelie pop by Daniel Modelon just in front. So we look behind there at these drivers, 18th and 19th position overall. This is Juan Carlos Pollo at this stage, just pulling away from Dan Holland, who was involved in that lap 1 fracas.
And Holland's car looks fairly beaten up, so amazing how the drivers are controlling the car with no front grip. The front wheel's literally off the ground, and how they're able to keep it going in the right direction with no control at the front is, that's very, very close to the wall there for Dunn. And Dunn almost did hit the wall.
Well, that's how hard he's pushing right now. And again, you can see just how much they're going for it at this stage. So Alex Dunn up the hill, gets right close to it, and there's a spinner behind there. Is that a model on then who's gone for troubles? It is, and he's been popping wheelie after wheelie in that McLaren, making the rise, and this is going to be awkward as the next train now jumps in alongside the 7 there of Yannick Lorenz. You've got Bart-Jan de Brouwer in there as well. This is where it gets very difficult up the hill, and you need to rely very heavily on that rear spoiler, which I think the McLaren has more issues with than the Audi.
You know, the Audi's been great for pace, but yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that we're seeing, yeah, I don't know where my train of thought was going there. It's definitely seems that the McLaren seems to be having a lot more of those issues with spinning and rear control. So yeah, maybe the Audi's been the choice of car for two reasons, not just because it's had better lap pace, but because it seems to be better over this section, although Modelon's been able to break back away, and this is a very, very intense fight. Lorenz definitely has pace because he qualified P7, but just not able to, sorry, P9, but he's just not able to get back through because the lap is so difficult and short. You can't find a way through easily, and you might actually lose a spot. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to get close, and they're going to squeeze each other here as they head to the SS section. Lorenz back on the inside of Maximilian Deek, and that is position through and saved, at least for the moment, for Yannick Lorenz. That's how easy in a very tactical race like this one, Jay, that you can go from offense to defense just like that, and you have to be very alert. Keep an eye out, though, on the front of the field, because Alexander Davidson here in the Alpha Esports car is just pulling in 1/10 of a second every single time in comparison to Alex Dunn, and this is going to be a really important factor of the race here. If Dunn gets caught, then it's these two trying to break away from Koffenoff and the group.
And we've seen that Dunn hasn't been driving 100% perfect. Sure, he's got some great pace, but he's not driving 100% smooth. He's probably pushing a little bit too hard to try and break lap records rather than concentrating on getting the apexes every single lap, because we saw it almost hit the wall coming through turn 4 a couple of laps ago, and that's helping Davison close in that lap by around about the same lap time. So very, very close between these guys, sticking it around about 0.8 of a second.
They certainly are, and it is showing at this moment in time how they are just keeping themselves in range. Great four-car scrap going on right now for what is 12th place. Bart-Jan de Brouwer holding back Lorenz, Deek and Filio. Then as they go in towards then turns 1 and 2, once again, 6 retirements out of this race. We've lost Danny Clavel, we've lost Maxi Serella, Quentin Coutinho, Abdulkair Al-Amri, Nick Luedecker and Bastien de Silva. They are all out of this race at this moment in time. We have 23 runners in this field, and this four-car scrap, as they really do charge up the hill every time, I think that De Brouwer here and Lorenz, they're going to run into each other and someone's going to mount the car in front. But Lorenz, look at him, he's all over him like a rash. But again, where do you go?
He's just getting the run at the wrong spot, isn't he? He just can't quite get the momentum at the right time, and now he has to defend rather than attack. Into turn 1, this may open the door for Gonzala, and through he goes. So good move there from Luis Gonzala.
Yeah, Gonzaga with a great move then, as he now tries to move himself up forward on the train. Big gap forward, of course, in that one to Daniel Modelon in 11th. He'll be focusing on Jimmy Van Eyck, who is in 10th position overall right now. Good battle as well, 8th and 9th. You can see it on screen. Rubens Barrichello up against Bobby Thompson. Bobby started P15. He's moved himself up into 9th. He's up 6 places. Someone else who's up 6 places right now finds himself in 5th position overall and is actually challenging for 4th. There you can see him right now in what is the Lamborghini here. That is Tuan Tran trying to get himself into the mix.
Yeah, really good job from Tran to move forward in this race, as Lorenz has actually finally got up the inside too. So he's finally got that move done. And is he going to lose 3 spots? He's going to lose all 3 spots in this group.
Great and train Bart Jan de Brouwer losing 3 places in 3 corners. And you might think that's something that you don't often see, but that's how opportunistic you need to be. Get the inside line as we catch it on the Virtual Racing School replay. That's how alert you need to be. The Manti car there on the outside there, that Audi, you can see the inside taken away by the Lamborghini, and then suddenly there's the third Audi that tries to sneak it around the outside of the S's corner and gets it done for the Big Ben.
Great move to finish that off as well with that move around the outside by Maximilian. And they've spread out since they got through, so that battle is pretty much done, but battle is not over between Thompson and Barrichello. Thompson doing a good job holding on and just applying enough pressure, not applying too much pressure, because if you apply too much it leaves him open to make mistakes himself. Barrichello is going to be a very, very hard nut to crack.
He certainly is, but then you've also got the added pressure as well. Oh God, I'm racing Rubens Barrichello. I'm racing a driver who has managed to get a number of wins over in Formula One. I'm racing a driver who has a history and a legacy and is effectively one of the great pioneers of sim racing, especially in Brazil. So you take someone like Rubens Barrichello, the last thing you want to do is be like Jimmy Broadbent in a charity race once upon a time and go, I've just hit a former Formula One world driver.
There's the other part to that too. You can see it as a stressful thing, or you can see it as a great opportunity. Hey, I'm racing against Rubens and I can match him and I can beat him. I know I'm faster than a former F1 winner. So you can see it both ways, but you're right. It does add some sort of pressure, but some drivers also thrive off that pressure. Just behind though, Model on trying to get back through the field after those issues early on, you might get another position back.
Jimmy Van Eyck lets that one go as he moves through the opening corner. He was up 8 places so far in this race, and he puts himself now back into what is going to be 11th position in this one. Now, we're about 13 or so minutes into this one. We're 16 laps through this race at this stage when Alex Dunn crosses the start-finish line. This is the early point in the race where you could probably start thinking about here, Jay, the strategy. But look how much air that McLaren gets. It's almost freewheeling over the top and flying through that section.
Tell you what, see the flagman Barney's cousin sitting on the sides there. I wouldn't want to be in that flag marshal stand with these guys flying past, because it quite easily could have a car coming straight at your face. But yeah, strategy wise, you're probably going to see everyone pit as late as they can, but the door is open to pit anytime from now, and maybe we might see someone that can't get through like we saw earlier with Lorenz. He couldn't get a move done, so maybe if he was still struggling to get that position done, he may pit early, may have had to pit early to try and get through, but he was able to get the position done. We could see someone like Tran maybe pit early just to try and get through. He is definitely faster than Grabov at the moment, but isn't able to get through. So he could be a driver that may benefit from an undercut, although in this series, overcut usually works better than undercut. So staying out as late as you can, if you can get 1, maybe 2 extra laps, big key. Downfall to that is it's very, very hard to fuel save at this track with it being so short.
There's another thing as well. It's all about track placement. You ideally want to get yourself a couple of seconds of clean air if you can get out there. But with how the field is spread out, and there's a car off just in front of Tuan Tron actually there. That was the lap traffic of Mattia Ducey then, making a little bit of a mistake right in front of Dmitry Kofanov, which is going to bring everybody back in. He immediately gets over the incoms and says, pass right, please. You need to get through right now. I think one of the issues you find is, where do you go in and get yourself into the pits? Because Tuan Tron there gets a little bit held up with traffic, and that's the exact thing that you're going to find if you're battling with drivers who are down there P17, P18 after you've made your stop.
Yeah, traffic's going to be very, very important, and being able to navigate through the traffic and find yourself the right position. So, yeah, pitting at the right time based on traffic is just going to be as important as every other part of the pit stop phase. Making sure you nail your stop, making sure you don't take too much fuel and have saved enough fuel if you can save fuel. Yeah, traffic management and where you're going to actually regain the circuit after your pit stop is going to be very, very crucial. If you can find yourself in a nice little gap, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, clear of another car, you may find yourself in a very big gain, but there isn't really any gaps out on circuit at all. The biggest gap at the moment really is between second and third, which is 4.5 seconds. Other than that, there's no gaps out there other than behind the leader back to the first lap down car. Has there got a car in the wall? That's coughing off.
Yeah, that's Kofanov, and they all had to scatter and scarper because spinning was Rodrigo Ianni there, who's just about getting lapped there in the Lamborghini. So lap traffic spins, everybody scatters, and ultimately they are all in the same position, but those behind start to get. Now, he was already in the wall here on the run coming up, so he's kept it out of the way of everyone there, but I guess he's just trying to get the power back down in the Lamborghini, and as he does, I think he's just ran into the back of him there as the 03.
Yeah, I think he's just giving him a little love tap, a little kiss on the way through. Kofanov did lose a spot from that spin, but we'll get a better look at it this time. What was going on there? I don't think there was any attention being paid to what was going on. So,
I think he was desperately trying to get himself down to the inside, and ultimately with that hit, it's put him in trouble. Now, Kofanov has now just lost the place here to his compatriot Miron Mikheyev. So Mikheyev here has jumped up the position, then has gone up into P4. Wide goes Kofanov. They're all scattered to the inside. They want none of that as they go through. So eyes to the inside as he goes through, and I think he's going to have to pull that over and call it a day at this moment in time. And I think this is a retirement here for Dmitry Kofanov, and it very much will be, and I'm sure there'll be words exchanged in the words of, what are the expletive are you doing?
Very much, and very, very much needed as well, because a very strong question around what was going on there and what the thinking was. It was never going to work, so a bizarre situation. I still absolutely am blown away by the amount of air these guys are getting. Tran did lose a spot and then gain a spot back from Kofanov, but did lose a spot throughout that exchange. So ahead now is the 16 car of Markiv.
Yep, so Mikheyev then has done a really good job, has moved back up then into 4th position overall right now. You've still got Barrichello and Thompson fighting for what is now 7th and 8th, and Daniel Modelon now is on the back of that one in P9. So that battle continues, but there is a more pressing question, and that is the fact that, of course, Barney's cousin doesn't have a name. I was going to give him a name of Harvey.
Harvey?
Yeah.
I think he'd be more of a Barry, wouldn't he?
Would he be more of a Barry? Or, well, no, that's just another question. I think we need to leave that up to the iRacing staff to work out what his name is going to be. But at least now climbing down the hill and onto the front stretch, we see Tuan Tran at this moment in time trying everything possible here to stay very relative in the battle with Miron Mikheyev, and is trying to make that move. He's up 6 places so far, but we are heading towards that halfway stage. So drivers will still be trying to focus on where they are, what they need to do, what their focus will be in this race, because for those drivers right now, Artem Grabov is probably the big fish that they're trying to get to in 3rd place, because those drivers are already 13 seconds off of Alex Dunn at the front of the field, which is eye-watering over the course of 25 laps, because that means that he's pulled away from those drivers at half a second a lap.
Incredible pace that he's got. I mean, Davison's no slouch in regards to his lap times, but Thunder seems to be pulling something special out of his car at the moment. 2/10 pretty much every lap to get that lead that he's got over the last 5 or 6. So he is flying along at the front. Grabov not able to match these guys. He was obviously in 4th position, now up into 3rd. And lap traffic really being a bigger factor in this race than I thought it would have been at this phase. I thought maybe in the last 10 minutes it may have been a bigger factor, but played a huge part early on in this race. One thing around the lap traffic, with the lap being so short, we see lap traffic a lot earlier. With this strength of field being so high, a lot of these drivers may not have been used to being lap traffic. When you are in a low strength of field race and you're a lower down driver, I'm talking about you and I here, Sparrow, we understand how to behave as lap traffic because we are lap traffic a lot of the time. But a lot of these guys are front runners they don't know how to be lap traffic a lot of the time.
Absolutely. We just saw there Daniel Muddleon trying to have a little cheeky look at Bobby Thompson with the door open and then realised, oh, I've got no chance to get by the Barracuda car. I have to really get out of it. And he very nearly lost the back end, actually, having to straighten up there through turn 2. So that could have very easily have been a little bit of trouble out there on circuit. And there has been an issue for Juan Carlos Puyo out there through turn 1. Contact with Adrian Dominguez through turn number 1, just grabbing the quarter panel and sending him sliding off.
Been a few bizarre incidents throughout this race, hasn't there? And drivers being a little too opportunistic. And interesting with the turn 1-2 complex there. You can be very, very quick through the first part of the corner, and if you go too quick, you then leave yourself open to something happening through the second part of that corner, turn 2 as it is. And that's what we saw there. Probably ran a little bit too hot, left himself open to a potential move, didn't realise the car was going to try and make a move there, and that was resulted in a spin. This battle for 7th, 8th, 9th is getting very, very heated, and there's another battle just behind them too for 10th, 11th and 12th as well. So you've got battles going on everywhere, and Gonzaga looks like he might get another position.
He certainly will. Down the inside at turn number 1, which is the easiest way to do it on the San Posey straight. So an easy move as Luis Gonzaga Filho goes through and is making moves pretty much as easy as Gonzaga's basketball team did on the way to the NCAA finals. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the win there. But now you start seeing here Barrichello really having to defend. He gets tyres in the grass, actually, with how he jumped up. And he's lucky he keeps it there, because I'm sure any less mortal wouldn't have kept the foot in through that section, feeling the front lifting up off of the air. And this is where you really start to see where confidence comes into play. Do you have confidence in your car?
Exactly right. And do you trust your car through that section? You really have to make sure you get the car straightened up before you hit that that jump, that crest. You don't, you're going to find yourself meeting Barney's cousin, or ending up on the other side of the circuit. But Modelon's looking really strong. He's got some great pace. We know that he's got good pace because of how he qualified and where he was early on. He could get himself back up. Amazing. I'm still blowing my mind with how much air they're getting. He could find himself getting himself back up in the P7, almost back up to where he started, just based on the pace he's got at the moment. As we're starting to see some drivers in the pits. They are lap down cars, but it shows that the window is well and truly open.
It certainly is. I had a look into turn 1. I had to hold myself back there, as there were 3 bites of the cherry into the corner for Bobby Thompson as he went through. A little bit easier. Now you've got a really awkward situation for that going through. Look at how Modelon just desperately wants to get through, and he's finding out how difficult it is to pass around this circuit time and time again. So it very easily becomes a little bit of drama as they try and get through and they try and gain places over and over again. It's always a case of playing tactical chess around this circuit. You have no idea how you're supposed to go and make that move. All you have to know is that you've got to try and break down the fortresses somehow.
You have to make a move, but where do you do it? It's tough to do. Tran in P5, he still hasn't been able to make a move through on Mark-Yves, so he will probably try and undercut at the pit stop. I'm going to guess he'll pit a lap earlier, but these guys here, there's been no saving from Thompson because he's been trying to make moves into turn 1 and hasn't been able to do it. Barrichello's been very, very stoush in his defence. Hasn't defended too much, but the spots that he has defended have been absolutely perfect. Look, just there, just half a car width across, just so that Thompson knows we don't even think about making a move.
Too late.
Oh, that was a little bit too wide up. How's that? What's that about? The 5th time this morning that I've put the commentator's curse on someone, talk someone up, make a mistake because I've talked them up.
Yeah, he definitely did. Earlier on, of course, in the Dallara Formula IR, and Barrichello, he lifted and saved going through Modelon. Had to be so alert going into turn 1 that he didn't just completely go full Ralf Schumacher Australia 2002 on Barrichello.
That was so close, and well done from Modelon to not make contact there. what that little mistake from Barrichello's done as well has made Lorenz and Gonzaga close up that gap. So we've got a true 5-car battle for 7th position now as well. So we're going to see pit stops, I reckon, in the next 2 laps. From there, it is well and truly on. Tran, finally with a run down the front straight. He might get a position finally.
He might do. Down the inside, Mikheyev is not going to let that one go easily, but he has to say Tuan Tran has gone from 11th now up into position number 4 and is absolutely searching. Now that move there, as in comes Luis Gonzaga Filio then to go and make that stop. I would say that's going to be very interesting as Modelon is now through on Barrichello. What's interesting, also I try and say for the 3rd time, is I think Tuan Tran wants track position to go into the pits.
Yeah, I agree. I think he wants to make sure that he's clear. He can then dictate his pit stop. He'll probably hope that Mikheyev pits at the same time so that he can work out how much fuel to take from that. I think next lap we'll see everyone or almost everyone in the pits. Barrichello is now starting to struggle. So that one little moment has probably ruined his psyche, his confidence, and now he's in a bit of trouble.
I think he's had his rhythm disrupted a little bit, and now he's looking at Yannick Lorenz. They're just behind in 10th place, who wants to get through. So Barrichello really needs to get the hurry up now if he wants to try and keep himself in a nice position. Only 15 drivers at this stage are out there on the leading lap as things stand at the moment. 1 driver 2 laps down, 21 runners still remaining here in this race, being spearheaded by Alex Dunn at this moment in time, who is absolutely flying at this stage. 3.5 seconds clear of anybody else, and 3.5 seconds here may as well be 10 seconds anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly right. It's such a tough track to get moves done on, as Lorenz had enough sitting behind Barrichello, decides that he's going to bring it in and try something else. This is what we were talking about earlier, where if you can't find yourself making moves on a driver, you're going to have to try and do something different in the pits. Well, that's what we've just seen from Lorenz. Couldn't get that move done on Barrichello, who's losing ground very, very quickly to Modelon and Thompson. Had to come into the pits and try and make something happen. It's going to be interesting to see where Gonzaga and Lorenz end up together. Lorenz just coming out of the pits are going to end up side by side again.
They are, but there's a car in the middle of that though, so they're going to get away with that. You can easily get up to speed through turn number 1 because you have to break down and use everything that you possibly can. So a few drivers looking to figure a couple of things out at least at this moment in time. Still though, no other takers going in, and this is going to be very late if they want to go through. I wonder, with this being such a short circuit and the fact that they're not getting into the highest gears possible when they take the jump, Jimmy Van Eyck deciding to dive down into the pits now in the Riley car. Now you start wondering at this point in time, maybe here, Jay, are they able to extend this out to maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes to go, and they only need to splash and dash for a very tiny or minuscule amount of fuel?
I don't think it's possible, but I mean, they may be able to get it down under 10 minutes, but I don't think they could get it down to that low. We're seeing drivers come in from the 15-odd minute mark. I think we're going to see drivers in maybe at 8 minutes to go, so maybe the next 3 laps, but you'd never know in these sort of races. Drivers can do some bizarre things with fuel. Some of these drivers that are just lapping around and maybe a little bit off the pace might have enough in it, you know, saving to maybe get them to that point where they only have to come in for 2 or 3 seconds of fuel. And saying that though, if you're running at that sort of pace to only need 2 or 3 seconds of fuel, is it really worth running at that pace? You might as well come in and take 5 and actually run at full pace. So Davison comes in from 2nd place.
So now Alexander Davidson, the first real name we have seen dive down into the pits, was chasing hard it seemed, and has used quite a bit of fuel to get through that chase. Bobby Thompson now will take the dive into a very difficult pit lane to get right. You're turning and braking at the same time. Very easy to go full James Hinchcliffe there in a Skip Barber into troubles. Davison will come out just behind Rubens Barrichello. Now that's interesting for Alex Dunn, because if he now decides to pit, and he does right now, he's going to come out right in the middle of that.
Yep. And very, very aggressive entry. I'm wondering if Dunn may have got a speeding in pit lane penalty there, because he was so aggressive, hit the cone, and then had to have a second grab of the brake. So this will be an interesting...
95 Ks.
Yeah, he
He was
might be in trouble.
95 Ks at the line, so I think he may be staying for 15 seconds. Don't count my word on it. You can do a lot by slowing down, but I'm not sure that's enough.
There's Bobby Thompson. So he's what, half a lap behind. There's Davison now coming around, and Alex Dunn. Yep, he's done.
Ah, he's staying.
Definitely got done.
That is what happens when you do only one mistake. That is the one he had that under lock and key, under no pressure at all to go and make that stop, was covering off Davidson, and then all of a sudden he is now staying there for an incredibly long time for speeding, and that will hurt in this race. Alexander Davidson now becomes your effective race leader behind Rubens Barrichello at this moment in time, who is yet to come down in and make that pit stop. Mikheyev now decides he needs to come in and make his pit stop at this moment in time. Everybody now is on focus mode on how far they go. Barrichello now cedes over to the right-hand side, which gives Davidson now the lead back here for the first time in this race.
Big thing with that for Dunn is he didn't need to be so aggressive on his pit entry. He just needed to cruise in, get a 3.5 second advantage. So it wasn't like he had to commit in his pit entry to make sure he gained some time. He just had to be smooth and consistent. And what it's done, it's now put him back in P12. And 48-second pit stop, and that's going to end his race altogether.
That absolutely is. So up and over he goes, and if there was any hope that he was going to have a great race, well, it's all gone now to pretty much the house at this moment in time. So let's get another look at this one. Up over the hill, he's all right, but it's going to be down through that final corner then that always seems to catch out so many drivers. The diving turn, as it is known, can be very, very tough. You can see he just gets himself out in the grass, and then the back steps around, and it's so colloquial in the Audi. He smashes into that pit retaining wall, and it all goes into trouble. Now, keep an eye out on those who have done very well in the stops right now. We've got a great battle going on here a little bit further down with the number 2 machine at this stage there of Artem Grabov. He's trying to get through. There's that 5-car battle going on behind Modelon, which houses Thompson, Lorenz, Barrichello, and Luis Gonzaga Filio. But also you have to talk about this here, Jay. The fact that Andreas Hedlund has jumped Miron Mikheyev in the stop, and he is now in P4.
Mikheyev did a great job with his pit stop, but just wasn't able to get it nailed on his outlap. He did have a little bit of lap traffic that he had to negate on his outlap, which has meant that Hedlund has been able to get through. But this is a very, very interesting fight. Modelon, we never thought that there would have been a hope that he could have got himself back anywhere near where he started after that lap 2 incident, where he had a little whoopsie-daisy. But now he's got himself back up to 6th, started in 5th. He's not far off it now, but Gonzaga, driver of the race for me, for Gonzaga, started in 26th position, now in the top 10. That is incredible, and he still looks like he could go for more.
Yeah, Barrichello looking pretty vulnerable at this stage, with Gonzaga just hunting in the background, hoping that he can find a way through and can attack the legendary driver in front of him. But there are no guarantees when it comes to this sort of racing. You've got to find your options here. Of course, the leader as well has got his own issues to deal with in this race right now. He's got lap traffic battle to deal with. Bartian de Brouwer and Adrian Dominguez are out there in their own scrap. But this is going to be where the last stage of the race come in. If you can find one move, then my goodness, are you trying to set up for one?
Yeah, and Modelon probably is going to be okay here in 6th, but I think Bobby Thompson might be the vulnerable one here. He could find himself losing a spot to Lorenz. Deek. Oh, there's been 2 cars off Deek, and also Alves off at turn 1.
They were trying to get by the lap traffic of Mattia Ducey as they went through, and then they turn into the corner, and then all of a sudden it's just a case where Alves is a little bit too late on the brakes, and he just completely clatters into the back of that Audi in front.
This is just messy. You can just tell, oh, that just looked messy all the way there. And Deke into the wall and decides that, no, you can't continue on. No, keeps going. Just limping it back home. But Alves has decided to park it now. I want to draw our attention to something else here. Have a look at the pace. Tran, he is closing the gap to Grabov at the front. He could be on for a second place here. He's got it down to 1.2 seconds. We've got 5, maybe 6 laps to go.
Yes, and he's only closing, though, by about half a tenth each lap. So he's not doing enough here if he's to close down on Artem Grabov. But Grabov is pretty much holding everything stationary here in second, doing a wonderful job, actually, starting 4th position now up into second as we keep an eye on Bobby Thompson here in that Barracuda car, getting himself into a little bit of a pickle here. He's fallen off of the back here of Daniel Mudalon. He is now firmly in defense mode, trying to keep back Yannick Lorenz here for 7th.
Interesting too, the fog is almost cleared with the sun out earlier on in the race, and now the clouds have come back over again. It's been cool seeing an official race with a bit of fog around. But Lorenz, he's driving really aggressive. He's trying to get this position, whether it means he puts it in the wall or not. He doesn't care. He's trying to get this one more spot. Driving very aggressive. But Gonzaga, I think, is going to get a spot here. This is going to be a brilliant move.
Angle to the inside, then Lamborghini versus Audi, and he tried everything. Barrichello taking the big wide line. It opens up the door on the inside. He has to leave room. And you can't get much closer than that. Barrichello retains place, but Luis Gonzaga Filho is very much having to put the nose in. Try those little moves, which sometimes work, sometimes don't. That's the sort of level you have to go out there and attack with in this sort of race towards the end.
You said he has to leave some room. Well, he left exactly a car width and not a millimetre more. And Gonzaga thought, no, I'm going to wait for a better spot. Just also saw Ducey have a moment on the timing screen. He's dropped back down another position with a spin. But this has meant that Barrichello and Gonzaga have dropped off that group ahead now. So Modelon, Thompson and Lorenz in their own battle. Barrichello now 1.1 seconds back. Gap, as you said, for second and third, not closing fast enough. In fact, Grabov has closed up. But Headland and Markeev, they are closing, and Markeev may be close enough with 1 to go in a couple of laps' time to get a move done based on his current pace.
But was 1,000th of a second slower that last lap over Andreas Headland. Traffic in front of Dan Holland also will not be helping this group. So there goes Andreas Headland. He will comfortably get through, and heavy on the brakes. I don't want to get in front of Miron Mikheyev at any point in time. So that is going to be where you get those ebbs and flows in that battle. It's about 6.5 tenths between them at this stage, and of course they are running out of time. Alexander Davidson right now is probably about 2 minutes now before the end of this race, 1:45. So really you could say at this stage 3 laps to get it done.
And that'll fly by around this circuit. It will not take long to do 3 laps in these cars. They're going to do 51 laps of racing in a 40-minute race. It's almost oval spec lap times as Barrichello. I must say, Barrichello has been very, very aggressive in regards to track limits. He may not have too many incident points left, because 17 incidents, you receive a drive-through penalty. I reckon he should pick up 3 on this lap.
And there goes the move. Gonzaga, Filho to the inside. Barrichello tries to turn in. Spin in front. Bobby Thompson's gone around. Then at turn 1. So trouble's there. You gain 1, you lose 1. That's some way to go, but the Barracuda has ended up getting fished.
Bobby Thompson was doing a great job of defending that position from the car of Lorenz, but I think the pressure may have just got to him a little bit there. We'll see if we can work out why/how this incident has happened. Just understeered by the looks of it, and then the back end went.
A little bit too much, trying to find that angle again and again, and it just does not pay off in spades at this moment in time. We still got those battles, got a lap and a half to go from your race leader at this stage, Alexander Davidson, who's making his way now down the hill and over towards that final corner. There will be 1 more lap. He will reach the line with about 10 seconds remaining on the clock. There will be 5 seconds remaining as he crosses it. So we'll go for 1 more here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Sam Posey straight. Look at how opportunistic you need to be if you're in the Alpha Esports car. He did what everyone hoped that he would do. The Alain Prost style of driving circa Monaco, I believe 87 or 88. Just keep the pressure on. Do not worry about drivers around you. Keep the pressure on, keep attacking, because you may just force a mistake out of the drivers in front, and he did out of Alex Dunn. Davidson now up over the climb for the final time with that jump. Will now descend through the West Bend and down towards that diver's corner, which has so many times been all about it. Through the diving turn, it will be Alexander Davidson who will come to the line and take a very important victory in terms of his win. He's done wonderfully. He will win by a landslide over Artem Grabov there in second, and too little time for Tuan Tran, but give credit to Tuan, started 11th up to P3.
Great job from him to get himself into the top 3. Just drove a consistent race. Lap times didn't really drop off at any phase. And that little battle between Headland and Mackie didn't eventuate to anything. But driver of the day definitely has to go to Luis Gonzaga.
Absolutely.
He up to 8th in the end from starting in 26th position.
Yeah, he was streaming live as well on Twitch, and he was having a really good amount of fun in that Lamborghini, and well, who can blame them? Only 11 finishes on the leading lap here today, so everyone across the line, we can bring to you right now, this moment, official classified results here from this wonderful Lime Rock circuit. There you can see the Garden Gnome sitting quite nicely in the background. Alexander Davidson in the Audi had to rely on a little bit of fortune with speeding on pit lane. He picks up the win in 40 minutes 41 seconds. He wins by 9.3 seconds in the end over Artem Grabov, with Tuan Tran. A fantastic run from him today. 11th position up onto the podium. Andreas Hedlund will take 4th place with some really shrewd strategy work, as Miron Mikheyev had to settle for position number 5. A great recovery as well from Daniel Modelon. He gets 6th position overall as the second of the McLarens, with Yannick Lorenz in 7th, and up an eye-watering 18 spots. Luis Gonzaga Filho then in the Lamborghini doing a wonderful job. Rubens Barrichello finishes in 9th position, a +1 gain today for him after his trials and tribulations, and Bobby Thompson's late spin demotes him down into 10th place. Last finish on the leading lap was Jimmy Van Eyck, with Bart Jan de Brouwer, the first driver who is down 1 lap overall. We saw the spin happen for Maximilian Deek after his little bit of contact. Adrian Dominguez not able to capitalize on that. He's down -1, finishes P14. Juan Carlos Puyo then is in 15th position, with Dan Holland 16th, also a lap down, and Alvar Gomez as well finishes it off 1 lap down also. 2 laps down then for Fernando Ferreira and Mattia Ducey, then in 19th position as the only Mercedes really we've seen in the field. And now we hit the retirements. Rodrigo Alves 8 laps down in the Audi overall. And then you see the big one, number 3, Alex Dunn, 12 laps from the end, putting it into the pit retaining wall after what was a very bad pit stop where he was caught speeding on the lane. Dmitry Kofanov got caught out then by Rodrigo Ianni, who was trying to get to the inside of the circuit to safety, didn't get there in time. And then the Nyancat car, Bastien de Silva, Nick Luedecker, who had a little look at things over at turn number 1. And then the likes of Abdul Khair Al Amri, Quentin Coutinho, Maxi Serella, and then Danny Clavel, all finding themselves retirements early on when it came to racing action here at Lime Rock Park. But for a lot of drivers, it's going to be a home race that they come to next. It is a legendary circuit, one which is probably the greatest all-round circuit you can find in the world. It has every element of racing in it, Jay. It is Sao Paulo, it's Interlagos, it's heaven for a racetrack.
It's one of the tracks that we absolutely love going to. Regardless of the series, it always puts on a great race, whether it's a Skip Barber, an MX-5, and an F1 car, a V8, or GT3. It provides some great racing. It's going to be brilliant. Cannot wait for next week to roll around in the VRS GT Sprint Series.
Exactly, and that, of course, can only be found right here with us at SimSpeed TV. If you are brand new, finding yourself into the party, make sure you leave a like, a share, and a subscribe for more amazing content, not just here on YouTube, but, of course, on Facebook Live as well, where we have been gaining a lot of traction here. Of course, there is more coming up tomorrow. We will have the iGPS, the iRacing Grand Prix Series, back in the McLaren MP430s. You definitely want to go and check that out in the not too distant future. But of course, a massive thanks has to go to the Virtual Racing School, not only as title sponsor for this series, but also sponsoring the replays here at SimSpeed TV. From Jay Kennedy, who's been pulling double duty cameras, and of course commentary, myself, Jake Sperry. It was one where we all thought it was a job well done, but Alex Dunn has proven to everybody here today that sim racing is not easy, and just as quickly as you can build a margin, you can so very cruelly have it taken away. A lot of the favourites are going to come back then for next time out. Interlagos is a favourite of many a driver, and of course one of the great circuits that you can find in the world of sim racing. We'll see you a week from now, of course, when it comes to the streets and when it comes to what is some wonderful action here, one of the most legendary circuits out there in the world. We're going to Sao Paulo. Interlagos awaits.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he got rid of the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?